Well, hello, my CNC brothers and sisters. Welcome to another Wednesday evening CNC Hangout with IDC Woodcraft. And we have a special guest tonight, which I'm really excited about. We got Hamilton Dilbeck from CNC with me. And so really excited to bring another crazy CNC'er on board and share what he knows. And you can ask questions all you want. We are going to be live for the next couple hours, so we're going to have to hold our bladders at some point. But in the meantime, we're just going to hang out with y'all and chew the fat, and you can ask questions. So before we do any of that stuff, first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft. You've probably seen me on YouTube somewhere around there. And in the back end, our person who keeps everything under control is Julianne. We're going to pop her out here real quick. Here she comes. Y'all know, or at least the regulars here know Julianne. This is the administrative coordinator for IDC Woodcraft. She keeps everything organized and everybody under control. So, yeah, a big help. And so, Julianne, who was first person to comment?
First person to comment was Daniel T.
Daniel
That was yesterday.
Yeah. So we posted this yesterday, and and so Daniel T was the first one to comment. Yeah, it's very cool. Well, that's one of the big shout outs we do every time. So anything else, Julianne, that you got to bring up?
Well, on a fun note, we finally heard back from all of our golden ticket winners from our caliper release.
Yeah. So IDC Woodcraft released a new product a couple weeks ago, calipers, and in those calipers were either a special discount code, and those was through the CNC insiders list, or a few had golden tickets. And so we had all of our golden ticket winners finally report in, and they are all going to get a $200 shopping spree with a 15% discount. And I get the ball cap, which I forgot to bring. Show your ball cap there.
Hold on.
And Liberty, who is the shipping manager at IDC Woodcraft, she is the one that is going to make special plaques for these crazy CNC'ers. There's the IDC ball cap.
Right there.
Yeah. All right. And since I had to move out of my shop because we're going to have a downpour here in a little while, and it makes too much noise in the shop for me to be doing that, I forgot to bring a list of the rest of the golden ticket recipients. Do you happen to have that, or do I need to give it a shout out next week?
We may have to save that till next week.
Okay. All right. But all golden ticket winners, we've got you taken care of. The ones we haven't talked to on the phone, we'll be calling you tomorrow. All right. Julianne will be in the background. She is going to be making sure everybody keeps it clean. If you don't, house rules are we have a zero tolerance policy for negative behavior, and you will be booted off of this. Now, if you are on watching this on Facebook, it is best to come over to the IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel, because that's where everybody's dialoguing at. On my screen, there's this big long thing of comments, and it's just kind of flying by. So do want to take a minute to say hello to some of our CNC'ers out there who have jumped on board. We are sitting at about 208 people right now. Nice little thing. And then we're going to bring Hamilton on board. Hamilton from CNC with me, who's got a very cool community that you may want to know about. And we're going to, he's a Onefinity guy, and he knows about the Masso controller. So you can throw your questions out. First of all, questions. Lead off your questions with question marks, so Julianne can, she'll star those for us so we can see that. And then we'll do the questions up till 9 o'clock. We'll keep going because it takes a while to get through all the questions, but if we get through them, we'll pop in some more. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of new names here. I have to look at my list over here. So it's JR Griffith. Hello, JR. Greg Anderson. We got Capco Marika. There we go. And then Forster and Jason, Michael, Ken Armstrong from Delton, Michigan. And there's Ellen and Cherokee Vapor. Ellen is Madra. She was on here live with us a couple of weeks ago. Talked about how her CNC business fell into her lap. She got a CNC machine and she happened to be at a funeral talking to somebody. And before she knew it, she is in the business of making components for antique vintage jukeboxes. So that is super cool. She's got a benchtop CNC router. So it keeps her quite busy. We got Duffy and Michael, and I'm not going to be able to name all these names here, but David Rodwell, Longmill, and Chris Gallagher. What's going on, Chris, Mike, and Onefinity Training Tips and Tricks. So, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. The rest of you crazy CNCers, welcome. Let's bring, I got a couple announcements I want to make first, and then we're going to bring Hamilton on. The first announcement I'm going to make is we've got our other team member, Liberty, on board. Liberty, you want to come out and say hello? All right, she's got a thumbs up. This is Liberty. Yep,
Hey,
and she is the shipping manager for IDC Woodcraft. And when you get your packages full of M&Ms and love notes, she's the one that's doing all that and making sure everything's in track. And yep, so she'll be in the background too, chewing the fat with y'all as well. So there we go. Thank you, Liberty, for joining tonight. And so, okay, a couple announcements, and then we're going to get into Hamilton, because I don't want anybody to wait. First of all, what do we got here? Just giving people a heads up. IDC Woodcraft is now looking. I have not formalized this yet, but I am looking for a product manager. My pockets are too full. My buckets are too full to be able to manage product additions to IDC Woodcraft. And so I am getting ready and putting together job descriptions for a product manager who will work with these awesome girls and me and the rest of the team members at IDC Woodcraft. So there are others. There's Richard and Cammie who work in the back end, and people don't generally see them. The next thing is every Wednesday we are here talking to someone. Next Wednesday we got Kyle from Learn Your CNC is going to join us again for probably the fourth time. And then after that we have Jace from Airweights. Now Jace is what Airweights is. They provide vacuum systems for the benchtop CNC routers. So we get to learn about vacuum systems for CNC routers. Vacuum systems are just another hold down method, and I believe Hamilton has one of those things, but we'll find out. Yeah, he's nodding his head. He's got one of those things. And I just want to remind everyone, make sure, I got a new product coming out. Speaking of products, CNC Insiders. The CNC Insiders email list. That's for IDC Woodcraft. Whenever we release a product that is branded IDC Woodcraft, we release it to the insiders first, which is the email list, and they get a discount or some kind of perk or bonus. And so we have a new product. I'm going to do a flash announcement on that one. That is, we expect another week or two for that to come out. And so to get on the CNC Insiders email list, Julianne will put that in the comments, a link for that. And also, everything that we are going to be talking about with Hamilton and anything else I mentioned, there will be links in the description of this video. So I've been jabbering long enough, and so I do have to say one thing here. We do have a donation already, and so I have to say hello to Steve Paulette, $20 gift. Thank you, Steve, for helping to support that. You are supporting me and Liberty and Julianne for doing all this work in the background, bringing special people to you like Hamilton, like we're going to do tonight. So thank you very much there, Steve. All right, Hamilton, you ready to come on board, brother? All right, let's do it. Here he is. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. You guys have seen this guy on YouTube, Hamilton Dilbeck from CNC with me. And
that is me.
This is the man. Hamilton and I ran into each other at Workbench Con a few months ago, and that was kind of nice. You and Mitz and a whole bunch of other creators and people that everybody has seen on YouTube, like Andy Bird and Kyle. Who else did we run into? Greg?
So many people. Honestly, it's an overwhelming experience going there and like seeing all those people and like wanting to have so many conversations. It's incredible. I hate that it's only once a year.
Yeah, you know who their keynote speaker was? It was Tom Bodette. For those of you who remember Motel 6, we'll leave the light on for you. And he also had that Sunday show that traveled around the country. So that was kind of cool. That might have been before your time when he was doing that kind of stuff. It was pretty popular. It was a fun show that he did. So anyway, brother, yeah. So let's kind of start this off for those who have been on my end who haven't dialogued with you a whole lot. And even the people on your end who have decided to join in. By the way, welcome, Hamilton's crew. And so glad to have you on board. And for my people, make sure you subscribe to his channel. We'll throw a link in the comments, and it will be in the description. And subscribe to IDC Woodcraft. We're always making videos to help you become a better creator. So, all right, brother, let's start off with the who the hell is Hamilton, and so what's the quick backstory, and then we'll get into what you're doing now, and then we'll start dealing with some CNC questions.
Every morning I wake up and ask myself, who the hell is Hamilton? I swear. So I'm a talker, so please feel free at any point just to be like, hey, next question, because all day I speak to a camera alone in my wood shop, so I can do it all day. I guess if you're just now meeting me, I'm a woodworker. I've been woodworking for about 10 years. I first started off building tables, and I learned everything that I know off of YouTube, off of just buying some old tools. At the time, Facebook Marketplace wasn't a thing. It was just Craigslist. So meeting up with people, buying old tools, and slowly start building small stuff, selling that to family and friends, and then getting enough tools where I could start building tables, this, that, and the other. Transition that into teaching woodworking at a local rehabilitation center for men dealing with addiction. I learned a lot about a lot of things during that time. Ran it for about 4 or 5 years, and then went on my own, started up a YouTube channel, started getting into CNC machining, big changes and why I was trying to build the things that I was building. It's as I'm sure a lot of y'all know, going from woodworking and doing furniture and then into CNC work for smalls. It's a big life shift, and one that was very welcome, at least for me. During all that, got married. I've got a little kid. She's 2 years old, and I kind of just work out in my backyard. I've got a big 36 by 48 shop in my backyard, which I am just so blessed to have. We looked around for like a year to find a house, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Do you like the house?" She said, "Love the house." And I said, "Perfect. The house is fine. Whatever. Like, I want the shop." So now this is just kind of what I do. Work in the backyard. I very rarely even drive anywhere. Commute's nice. So I show pretty much everything that I do on YouTube. So every Friday I've got a video coming out.
Okay. Every Friday I have a video on YouTube.
Oh yeah, CNC project every single Friday.
Yeah. So you've built a community, and you got a private community going on now too.
Yep. It was so if anybody out there has ever made YouTube or Instagram or something, it's a lot of fun and addicting in a lot of ways, but there's a big wall, and there has to be for a lot of purposes, honestly. And last year I decided that I wanted there to be more connection and trying to figure out what that really needed to look like. So I floated the idea and put a lot of attention into CNC with me, and it went bonkers the first month. More of y'all signed up than I could have ever imagined. And it has just been so cool having like a very close-knit, learner-based, sharing-based community. I'm the first person to say that I don't know everything about anything, right? I mean, like, people come to me with questions all the time, and I'm like, I don't know, let's find out together. It's very much how I started my CNC journey. So I have a community very focused on that, about helping each other grow, learn, and tons of projects. So I just a few years ago started CNC machining, so I'm very familiar with the pitfalls and the frustrations. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on.
Yeah, stuff we all kind of go through.
That's for sure.
as we learn, but that's the mission people like you and me have is we realize the pitfalls, the challenges, and we just want to help people.
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm part of his group, and so you got a ton of project files.
Well, it's interesting because I'm very thankful for the community that I built on YouTube, because I brought it up and I said, hey, there's nothing there yet, but there's going to be. And a lot of people had faith in the vision and supported it, which I, can't say enough thanks for. It's been incredible. And it's not just me. I've got incredible people behind the scenes doing so much work. I'm afraid to list everybody because there's so many people. I'm afraid to forget somebody. But I mean, like, from day one, Cody from Cadence Manufacturing and Mitz were on board day one. And they have been able to help me expand in ways, because if anybody's ever worked with me, they know that I'm not organized. I'm the most disorganized person.
Hey, man, you and I are brothers now.
Yeah. So it takes an army. And, coming out with a CNC project every single week is, it sounds easy on paper, at least it did to me. But actually putting it into practice and making sure that we're not just doing SVG files, we're doing DXF, SVG, Carveco, and VECTRIC files, and making sure that there's tons of instructions. I really wanted it to be a turnkey experience. So it's been a blast establishing it. And now there's a lot more projects on there. And every week there's more.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So anyway, so you are a Onefinity guy, and you got the master controller. You've got the you got a couple of Onefinities. You had one of them at the Workbench Con. And
both of those actually were my machines. I've got the Dilbeck version. That was the original one that I purchased from them, and then started making videos, and we formed a relationship. And then they sent over the Masso Foreman for me to give a look at and kind of like check things out. And I kept it. So it goes to shows every once in a while.
Right. That pays off. So, okay. So nowadays you do that, and you've also had experience selling out in the field, products out in the field. Like you've done craft shows, and then you have sold wholesale as well. All right.
Yeah, it's my bread and butter after going from furniture was just getting stuff in stores. So I know a lot about selling smalls in stores, a little bit about selling wholesale, but mainly just getting stuff on shelves. So either that's commission based or selling directly, but not massive orders of 1,000 or anything. We're talking like smaller, like 50. And I'm a big fan of local. I'm a big fan of having stores as your fishing ponds and having a lot of ponds, and not being disappointed that a store is only giving you $200 a month. Well, if you got 10 of those, boom, $2,000 a month, right? So like there's so many things that I think get touted on YouTube about what you have to do and this, that, or the other. You and I know that the titles that get people to click on the videos and get a lot of views are very rarely the video that somebody really needs to hear from. And I'm just a big fan of like making life simple. And for me, local, no shipping, that was the simplicity that I really gravitated towards.
Right. So talk about that a little bit then, because a lot of creators get into this space that, they have interest in generating some kind of revenue. And so there's a lot of talk about Etsy and, website, but there's not much talk about going wholesale.
It's an interesting topic. So when you bring up a project, most people, if they've seen me on YouTube, they probably saw my whiskey smoker video, bringing a fairly common item, a whiskey smoker, and just designing it a little bit different. Some reason YouTube decided to make the video go big. So a lot of people got very interested in that project in particular. And with that, anybody could post that on Etsy. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people did. A lot of people bought my file. A lot of people put that on Etsy. And very few people were getting the results that they used to before the video went big. So people say whiskey smokers don't sell. Well, all those people, the easiest way to get your product and get eyeballs on your product is put it on Etsy. Well, if it's flooded with everybody else, it's not going to matter.
Right.
Locally, the competition is so absolutely low. But the issue is you got to do some legwork. You got to talk to some people. You got to meet some business owners. You have to actually interact with people, which is not my favorite thing in the world. But once you do it and once you get those lanes established, to me, it's just like the biggest freedom ever. So I think if you want to sell something, Etsy is by far the lowest barrier to entry. Putting stuff up on Etsy, seeing if stuff moves, that's great. But selling stuff local, all of a sudden you're not telling the world the product that you have. You're just selling it to a few people. You're able to really localize of, like geographic features that are near you that nobody else is going to care about on Etsy, but people local to you are going to eat up, right? There's so many things about selling local that I think it's a cheat code and that not a lot of people use, but I get it. Etsy's easy.
Right. Okay. So what kind of legwork help people understand this type of market, where you're doing the footwork, you're building the relationships, the types of projects that you have made for your area and why they were working projects that sold.
So thankfully, I've got a little bit of an insider connection on it. Back when I was running a wood shop for a rehab, we also had a brick and mortar store, which I was not extremely involved with, but I was very involved with the team. So I saw everything that they needed to do to be able to get smalls on the shelves. We sold tables and stuff. That was the bread and butter, right? But they still sold home decor. And I went 1 year with them to a big market in North Carolina, I believe. I might be messing that up, but it's a very, very large market where people go and then they buy all of their wholesale stuff in the world that I had never seen before. And it was so interesting seeing all these people selling, to a store, hey, you need to buy a quantity of 100, but they're $20 a piece. And then watching that store turn around and sell that for $120 a piece. And to really see the inner workings of like trade and, the value that's attached to that and how much work is required to get to that point, right? So a lot of people run Etsy stores purely off of that. They go to these markets, buy this stuff, rebrand it themselves, and sell it. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. But I never really had seen how it worked. So when I now am looking at these stores, it's, are you making a product that somebody's going to buy? Does it have to be like a life-changing product? Absolutely not. Are you making something that somebody's going to buy? Can you show that to a store owner and they're going to at least give you the time of day? If you can get your foot in the door, it's easy. So when you're asking me what are some actionable steps, look around, keyword search boutiques and gift stores in your area, and then make a list of some places that might be able to fit the vibe of the products that you're looking to sell, and then get in touch with them physically. Go to their store, ask for the owner, talk to them. It's way more in depth, obviously. I've got a whole webinar on it on CNC with me about how to get into stores because I'm very passionate about it. But that right there, meeting somebody and talking with them in person and the possibility of rejection is enough to make the majority of people never try that.
Right. And that's such a key point. Just on that note alone, if you're teaching about that in CNC with me, that for those who want to, they say make sure you don't put your eggs in one basket, right? When you're doing this kind of stuff, you want to, like you said, you want to have many fishing lines out, as many as you can get, right? Because that evens out the keel of the revenue that you can generate. So just that education alone, because it's not taught well on YouTube, is probably worth the investment of getting into your thing to learn about that. So we got a link to your thing. So we'll throw it in there. We'll throw it in a couple times in the comments. It'll be down in the description. So Julianne will throw that Julianne or Liberty will throw that into the comments, and you guys can check out his website and see. It's actually it's not pricey at all.
I'm glad that you think that. It's interesting. The pricing structure, I price, very frankly based off of the value that I know is there. And a lot of people see the value, and then other people, I'm trying to figure out some ways to make things cheaper and maybe do tiered. I really don't want to do tiered. I want buy it, get everything. But I appreciate you saying that because it's interesting trying to price stuff, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and sometimes you gotta find the thing. But what I like about the way you've structured that is it's really affordable. It's really affordable.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You want to handle some questions here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching, This guy's a Carveco guy, so I don't have a lot of Carveco. I don't have any Carveco experience. Well, I've probably played with it for about 20 seconds.
I have no VECTRIC experience. I haven't even played with it for 20 seconds.
So, okay, well, let's go up to the questions then. So we got Richard from Rockville, California. It says, so we'll just see where these questions go to. But how can I set my XY axis start point of choice when engraving the letters on a sign instead of letting VECTRIC set it? Thanks. So, how can I set my XY axis start point of choice when engraving the letters on a sign?
So like middle versus bottom left?
Yeah, yeah. I'd have to launch VECTRIC to show you. So, for those of you who have upgraded to VECTRIC recently, just get this puppy launched. If you've upgraded to VECTRIC 12, then you know, especially right after they released it, that the Draw Curves tool was removed. And last week, I learned right in the middle of the show that they put it back in because I was trying to show other ways you can use it. So just like Hamilton said, we're not masters of everything, but we do our best. So, but you know what? It's you just roll with it. Anyway, so the Draw Curves has been put back into the VECTRIC software. And so if you've not upgraded your software, then I suggest not upgrade, but update it from the versions to the newest version. There will be in the upper right corner, will say new version is available. And you want version 12.007 or higher. And I got a video that walks you through how to use it and where they now have Draw Curves. So Julianne or Liberty, put that video link in the description of the video, please. So, okay, I'm going to share screen. And so the question is, how can I set my XY start point of choice when engraving letters? Okay, we're going to share screen. So, Hamilton, you're just going to have to hang out on this one, brother.
I'm going to learn something. I'm excited.
Okay, so we're going to have to go to our VECTRIC screen. There we go. Entire screen. So, okay. So when you do your job setup, first of all, we know that we in this lower area here where it says XY datum position, you can select the four corners or the center point of the project. So right now that is set on the center. The radio button is selected in the center, and that's what's showing right in the middle of the screen there. That little red dot, the axes are going over or crossing in the middle. I can click the lower left corner, and that will shift that down to the lower left corner. If you want to choose any other specific location, there's this little checkbox there that says use offset. When you select that checkbox and click use offset, now you can dictate your start point from any point that you want other than those four corners and the center point. So let's say I want to start this at 1 inch in and 1 inch up. I'm going to type in 1, and I'm going to type in 1, and I'm going to hit enter, and that should move it. Okay, so what it's done is that it has set my XY start point 1 inch behind and 1 inch below the lower left corner. So I've never used that before, but that's the way you can do it. So you can use any number you want in there, practice with it a little bit, and from there you can figure that out. So hopefully I've answered that question. Does that make sense, though, Hamilton?
Yes.
Okay.
It's so interesting because I never look at VECTRIC. Like somebody in the chat right now is asking about like the files in CNC with me being a VECTRIC and a Carveco. And I was just telling Mitz the other day, who does all of the file preparation for CNC with me. I was like, I just trust that the file's right because I can't even open it up for VECTRIC. So it's fun seeing people work.
Let me show you, because I've got a file of his downloaded. I'm a member of his group, so I'm going to share, see if we can bring that up. I'm going to share a directory so that you can see exactly what you get when you get a file from this thing. So oops, got to go to, just do a window on this one. Maybe I think that's it. Steady, yeah. Okay, so what you're looking at is this is the bit storage bin that video did not too long ago. And so he's got this in HTML format, file types. There's VECTRIC, there is Microsoft I'm not sure what the first one is there.
So
anyway.
we've got instructions. We also have like renderings.
Oh, that's the instructions, yeah. DXF, ART.
So art files are Carveco.
Okay. JPEG. There's another VECTRIC file. There's DXF, and you've got another Microsoft Edge.
Yes, so we have 2 SVGs for this one specific. So without getting too into the weeds, when we were making the file for this specific file, we realized that Carveco and VECTRIC have this weird difference that not very many people would ever come across. When calculating the bit size, we've got a 3/16 inch round or radius on our bowl bit.
Okay.
VECTRIC accounts for the radius when just barely dipping into an area, whereas Carveco doesn't. And I honestly don't know if one way is better than the other. But when doing the renderings, you can see that one affects an area that the other one doesn't. So, and I go over all that in my YouTube video and in the toolpad tutorial, but these files in particular are set up so that you can get the best of both worlds.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So he's making files that you can bring into VECTRIC, into Carveco, into anything else that's going to accept these DXF, SVG files, the other file formats as well.
Yep, and that's honestly like a really big thing that I like. When I first started up the YouTube channel, I wanted to be able to create files and then make them available to people. It's funny because I wanted to make them available really, really cheap. So I put them for 99 cents on Etsy, and then I realized that I was paying Etsy to sell my files because of how many fees they have. Yeah. So I moved it up to $2.99, and I would only sell SVG files. And then people were like, can you sell the Carveco files? So a few times I sold the Carveco files, and I realized how many issues came with it because most of the people, like, and I'm sure a ton of people here in chat, they don't really know what it means for CNC files. The 3D printing world is like super streamlined. You download Godzilla and then you slice Godzilla and Godzilla prints out, right? Mm-hmm. CNCs, oh my gosh, it's so different. There's so many things to keep into account. So when over the last 2 years of selling files and trying to generate really good files, I always get the same questions. Do you sell the G code? And the answer is no. We don't sell G code. I've got an entire 1 hour long video with free downloadable G code. If you want to go with the Masso series, then it really explains why we don't sell G code. But our goal is to be able to create files to get you as close to G code as possible so that you open it up in VECTRIC, you can save it and save your own G code right there and start cutting 20 seconds later. But there's so many reasons that file types and everything, oh my gosh, it gets confusing.
It does. It does. Yeah, I actually have a couple of files that have G code, and I've got it. I know what he's talking about because I mean G code can vary from machine to machine for various commands that are leading into the G code and what have you. So that creates little hangups.
Yeah. Yep. And then people think that the file's bad, and it just creates a whole lot of stuff. So I'm really hoping that one day somebody in the CNC world will figure it out about it, just a way for somebody just to be able to do it. But I understand why you can't. But our goal is to offer as many file types as possible, overwhelmingly so.
There you go. Well, when I extracted this one, I was surprised that you had so many files available for the same thing.
Thank you, Mitz.
Mitz, so Mitz, he's probably out there. He's got to give him a shout out. Met him, and super nice guy. And he's the one that actually got me to say, "Hey, you got to go talk to Hamilton." And didn't know you were there. So
Mitz is great.
Mitz you always have the mystery file, which is super cool. That's actually fun to watch the mystery file.
Yep.
What is it?
It's been such a fun thing. And when I first floated him the idea, it took us a little while to really figure out what it was going to look like. But that's another great reason why G code. He sends me mystery G code every single week. I put it into my CNC machine and I run it. I have no idea what I'm about to cut out. And he tells me which bits to place where and where to zero on the material and what material to use. and I press go, and we see what gets cut out today for Friday's video. I just cut out a mystery file, and it was a beautiful little napkin holder with a wonderful little sunflower on it and stuff. Like, it was. How else, like, can somebody make a file in Wisconsin and send it to you and just like make something that afternoon? It's so cool.
Right. Hey, I want to just make an announce for anyone who's watching this on any of the Facebook channels. Come over to IDC Woodcraft on YouTube, because that's where everybody's hanging out, talking, chewing the fat, and just talking to the girls, Liberty and Julianne in the background. All right, let's bring up David. He's seeing lots of projects like Marine Corps' emblem. That must be copyrighted. How can we know? So, well, the best way to do this. So, first of all, remember, none of us are attorneys when it comes to trademark, right? And protected files. So, the best thing to do is to do a search for that wherever that is going to be at. So if that's it's a military logo, it's Marine Corps, then you probably want to do searches on the whatever website they got going on out there. All right. A lot of people make that stuff anyway. But if you're going to make other branded items like Jeep or John Deere, Disney, stuff like that, definitely ask the company first. Because some companies can be really protective. They do monitor the places like Etsy, and they will. I actually had a product that Etsy pulled because Jeep complained. So as far as this one, I don't know what the rules are around it. Any idea? You got any input on that?
Oh, I really wanted to make some national park insignia stuff because, sells really well, this, that, and the other. So I went down the rabbit hole of what that would take, and all of it's copyrighted. It's one of those things, if you're willing to dip your toe in it to make a few $100, sure. But if you're generating any type of real income from it, it's... at the end of the day, it's legal. If you look at stuff like Alabama football, that's a lot more approachable. So every single college organization, most of them, is going to have some avenue for a crafter way to, like, somebody like you or I to be able to afford to make something with their logo on it. So unfortunately, there's no entity that owns all of that right now, that you can't just go to one place and pay a fee and be able to use any type of logos that you want to. But specific places do. So I know that it's possible for somebody like you or I to be able to do something like the National Parks logo, but no, especially things like, military insignia, like, I would just stay away from it. People who are selling the files, they're selling at their own risk. And if you buy it, you could be doing it for a friend. And there's a difference between making something as a gift versus making something and selling it.
Right. Yeah, it's in those cases, a lot of people will sell it, but you want to be very careful on public platforms, especially where there's a lot of people doing stuff. And Greg messaged me last week. We talked briefly about, someone was asking about Jeep. They were trying to get hold of Jeep to be able to do that. And Greg had been down that road before, and he said that Jeep won't really talk to you unless you're actually going to generate a lot of money. So there you go. Trademark. You always want to be careful of trademark items if you plan on generating, just like Hamilton said, if you plan on generating more revenue than revenue that makes people open their eyes a little bit.
And there's ways around it. So, like, sticking with Alabama football, instead of using their actual logo, like, you could pay somebody on Fiverr to create like a retro like symbol for Alabama, and you can do that where, like, have their logo but it's groovy or something like that. Like, you can do that. It's not going to get near the response that something else would, but there's ways around it. Obviously people want to use the logo, right? But a lot of the time you just can't.
Yeah. I did talk to somebody a couple of years ago. They actually had an attorney that would, an attorney who had an artist or something like that, where they would alter things just enough that it fell out of the protection, color schemes or things like that. I do want to say hello and thank you to Trade Skills Anonymous has made a contribution. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, JR. JR just moved down to Atlanta too. He's a local now. If any of y'all are in Atlanta, we're also locals.
Okay. Did I talk to JR?
Probably have. He's everywhere. JR's the man.
Probably a lot of faces. Oh, there it is. Yeah, thanks, JR. So, yeah, so how these contributions are being made is below on the IDC Woodcraft channel, just below the area where you're going to hit the thumbs up button for having Hamilton on board. There's a little $sign there, and you can click there, and that's the way you can donate for us taking the time to do this kind of stuff. Thank you, JR. So remember, we got Hamilton here. He is a Carvco Onefinity guy. So bring those questions on. This is your chance to ask him about his community, CNC with me, which Julianne, throw his link in there again so people can check out his website. All right, we got the Foster Jim 8866. How do I know where in the spindle clamp to position the spindle, or does it matter?
Can I answer this one?
Yeah, fire away, brother. Yeah.
All right.
Whatever you want. You got another master here. Go jump in on it.
So the answer is you don't. So it really depends on what you're trying to make. So I can only speak from Onefinity, but today I was, for anybody who's been following my saga, I haven't had power in my shop for quite a while. And today, finally, I was able to put my spindle back in, and I've got some awesome new dust boots from some really cool creators out there. So I'm trying to like put the dust boots on, and my spindle is water cooled. So with all of that, spacing is really important. And also how high you've mounted your Z is also really important as well. So I wish, and I thought that when I first got a spindle that there would just be a line on it, right? You put it on that line, things are going to work out. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. It really depends on the distance between where your spindle can actually reach and the type of bits that you're going to be using most. Because if you're mainly using a V-bit or if you're mainly using like an end mill, you're probably going to have a good ½ inch difference between those. And that really matters on how far your Z depth can go. Or if you're doing stuff that you really need to clear areas, your spindle, you can just move it around and figure that out. I would probably cut 3 different things. And if you can cut like, I don't know, plywood and then something larger and I don't know, maybe foam or something, and really try out some different bits. And if you're not having to move your spindle around, that's great. Putting on your dust boot as well and figuring out, are you crashing into stuff? Like, is it getting too low? Is it Z dependent? There's a lot of things that can go into it. And unfortunately, like most things with CNC machines, there's not a hard and fast rule. It's really depending on what you're doing in your machine. Other things like Makita routers, sometimes you just slap those things in there and then let them roll. But spindles are a little bit different.
Yeah. Nice thing about spindles, you got a lot of room to play with.
So much room. It's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be adjusting my spindle here shortly. I'm getting ready to assemble a rotary, which I'm going to be doing a video on. And
nice.
Put a rotary on the machine, so I'm going to cut a slot in the table so that rotary drops in. And yeah. So let's hit the next one. We've got same guy, Foster Jim. Should I put a second spoil board on under T-Track spoil board? Boy, I'm having trouble reading tonight. Should I put a second spoil board on my T-Track spoil board to preserve it? Sorry, very note this. So it sounded like he's asking if you should put a spoil board on top of the spoil board.
So I do, and you might have gotten that question if you've seen my channel. A lot of people get confused about how I've set my spoil board up because some machines come with the ability to have T-Track and then MDF slots. For me in particular, I don't like T-Track. The main reason that I use it is to be able to slide a wrench in so that I can get a little bit of leverage to pop off double-sided tape. That's the only reason why I like T-Track. I don't really use the clamps at all. So for me, I like a really flat, level playing field, especially because I use a lot of hardwood, and being able to put double-sided tape on the bottom of it and get as much adhesion to the bed is really important for me. So I put a piece of MDF on top of the other MDF because I want that flat space. Does it preserve the MDF under it? Yes, 100%, but that's not the purpose of it. Spoil boards are meant to be wrecked. A lot of people are really afraid to like touch them or cut through their material. It is, to me, a consumable, so they're meant to get all marked up and everything.
Yeah. So Jim, Foster Jim, that is a really good question for those who are new to this, and what Hamilton just said is, the first time we actually cut into our spoil board, we're like, oh man, it's kind of a big ass letdown, but that's why they call it a spoil board or a waste board. It is meant to be a consumable. It won't be consumed that fast, but it's also there to protect your router bits for when you do cut through it, that you've got something soft that the router bit can get into and it won't tear up the bit. So what's your suggestion for putting a spoil board on top of a spoil board? For
me?
Well, based on what Foster Jim just said.
So I'm a big fan of it. If I didn't previously have a spoil board, so the only reason that I do it is because I've got the Winfinity table, which has an integrated spoil board in it. Yeah. Otherwise, if I would make my own table, I would just be having a single sheet of MDF. As long as your spindle can reach it, or your Makita can reach it, that's the main reason that a lot of people in the forums do build theirs up, is because they want to make sure that if they're using a Makita router, it can actually reach the spoil board so they can fully cut through their material. Okay.
Yeah, I've got my main one board, spoil board, and it's the same. It's the same one I've had since I've had this machine. I've got 4 CNC machines.
Losing count.
And one of me. One of those is up for sale. It's the Phantom. 4x4.
Wow.
That's a production machine, and the reason I'm selling it, it's barely used. I've had it for about a year and a half, and the reason I am getting rid of it is because it doesn't really serve the people that I'm trying to help, that you're trying to help. Same people, those who are doing stuff in the home shop, building up their home shops, beginners getting on board like Foster Jim, and so I'm getting a long mill alt mill, which is the new machine. It's actually designed. They brought that out as a 4x4. It's kind of a competition for the Winfinity 4x4 Shapeoko 5 Pro 5. So, but I like what Mark Lindsay says. All right, he's out here in the crowd too, brother Mark. He's here almost every Wednesday, and he says, it's like when people ask for comparison, that it's like comparing a Ford to a Chevy. Some of them maybe have a little bit harder suspension on it or tougher suspension kind of thing. Okay, let's get on to Dave. Agreed, Wandering Star. So I don't know what Wandering Star said. Julianne is popping these questions in, so I get to point the finger at her for popping this up without him. Anyway, but besides obvious things, how can we know? For instance, I want to make wooden playing cards. Are the individual cards copyrighted? That is so cool. I would say, I'm going to say, if you want to make cards, I would know. Because you can put anything you want on the back. Now, some of the designs on the cards they're like the queen holding or whatever it is probably. But that's a really good question. So you were kind of saying, what's your words there, brother?
So yeah, if you take art from Bicycle and then put it in your laser and engrave it on a piece of wood, that is their artwork. If you slightly change things, make your own artwork, no one has the copyright on playing cards, but they do on the artwork on the playing cards. So you can put a heart, you can put a diamond, club, spade, but if you're using like their exact artwork, that's where it turns into a little bit of a thing. But there's so many people out there that make like incredible playing cards, and there's a huge market for it as well. So like if you can figure out how to make playable ones out of wood, I know that that's a lot of people would be very interested in that.
Okay, it's good advice. I wouldn't have even thought of that. You know, in my head, I was thinking, oh yeah, the card's a card. But you're right. I mean, it's like IDC Woodcraft logo. That's a trademark, right? So people try to sell stuff under IDC Woodcraft. You bet I'll be going after them.
Yep.
So we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I do want to give a couple of shout outs and this discussion. First of all, if you like having Hamilton on board, more that just bringing special guests on board, like we're gonna have Kyle from Learn Your CNC next week, Jace from Airweights. You got Airweights unit, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He'll be on the week after, and I have yet to call Izzy Swan. I want to get Izzy Swan on here. Anyway, give me a thumbs up. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not normally subscribed. Make sure you find Hamilton's channel. Julianne will or Liberty will link that in the comments, and subscribe to his channel. Give him support. You know, he's like the rest of us, working to get somewhere. IDC Woodcraft. I am always hoping to get reviews on Google, and so I'm going to put out there to ask if the stuff that I do, the products that IDC Woodcraft puts out, the customer service you get, the videos that I put out, bringing people on like Hamilton. If you find that helpful, then please take a minute to give a Google review. That link will also be put in the comments, and everything's in the description as well. And one of the other things I want to share with y'all, I say this every week, your setup, right? Your setup. So this is a setup checklist for your CNC projects. Most of the problems that we have on CNC in our projects is because we forgot something during the setup. And what's the thing we forget the most, Hamilton?
Oh my gosh, the list is so long. Yeah. Probably just zeroing. I forgot to zero today.
Bingo. That's exactly what I was waiting for. And that's covered right there on the checklist. So so there's so many things we do. So I put together this project setup checklist, and it's available to you for free. And so we cover material, we cover router bits, we cover your XYZ, we cover everything else, and also covering making sure your hand is on the start button, on the stop button when you hit the start button. Right? So this is available to you for free. Julianne or Liberty are going to put a link in the comments of this live here, and then you can get that. It's going to redirect you to another page where you'll have opportunity to get a stack of files from me. You can take it or you don't take it, right? You just scroll down the bottom, say no thanks. And then, of course, we got Hamilton here from CNC with me, right? Who's built the community. You got over 700 members in your community. How old is the community now?
Oof, I guess right at 5-6 months. We started January 1st.
You're one of the fastest growing communities I've seen.
It's I am just so blessed to have so many cool people out there that believe in the vision that I have. I've got big goals. I'm a dreamer, and unfortunately, that comes with, like I said, a lot of disorganization. But I know what it can be, and we're getting there. I think in a few years, everybody's going to look around and be like, "How did this happen?" But I'm laser focused. We're getting there.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. You know, in any business, how far you want to go depends on how much determines the level of focus that you have to have. Mm-hmm. And there are tough days. There are days you don't want to get up and do it, but that you got to do it. And
yep.
you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. And thankfully now I've got air conditioning in the shop, so those days are a little bit easier.
Okay. All right. So what caused the power outage?
Oh my gosh. So I had some trees cut down, and I decided to get somebody to grind the stumps. And the previous owner had installed power essentially just on the top of the ground and cut the power. So I decided to do it right. because previously I just had 60 amps out in the shop, so I wanted 200, and woof, that led me down a road that I was not prepared to walk down. A lot of a lot of inspections, met a lot of really cool people who are very good at their job, and I didn't realize how many people needed to do their job for me to get power. So it took a while.
Interesting. It's kind of funny. Anytime you get wrapped up in something, you realize what it takes to do something. Yeah, it's like, so when Hamilton creates a video for you on YouTube, or I create a video for you on YouTube, there's a lot of time that's involved in doing that. Set up the thinking process beforehand, making sure files are going to work out okay, and then the editing afterwards, the retakes that you do, and then getting it posted and writing up the description of the video, putting links in there, and then you've got your community on top of that you have to maintain as well.
Yep. It's honestly, every time that I get stressed out, I'm very, very blessed. I'm one of those people that looked at people on YouTube and thought like, I can do that, and not only can I do that, I can do that better than them. And I was so silly. I should have never thought that. But after trying and getting, some level of success is a strange word as it is, but after achieving what I have achieved, I took a look around and was like, oh, this is a lot of work. And people like oftentimes don't know. And to a certain degree, like the people who have tried to make YouTube videos, they understand. But there is a lot that goes behind it, and I'm just blessed that I am able to continue to try.
Yep. That's but it's so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, even all that challenge, it's so rewarding. I have to give a couple shout outs here for some contributions that made. I got a brother, Ben. It's like this guy, every week he throws $50 out. It's amazing.
Nice.
That is something else, man. And I think I told the girls to take care of you last week. If it did, we did have some stuff happen in the background that we had to take care of. So if that kind of took some of our attention. So if that hasn't happened, don't worry about it. Every week he's giving that to us. Thank you. And Stefan, thank you both for some awesome content. Thank you, Stefan. That's so cool. I love these live shows, right? Because this is the chance that we get to interact with these guys, this community. All right, we got some more questions. We got sitting on 13 of them right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so get your questions in now. It's getting close to the top of the hour, by the way, and this is where we do our cutoff because we got all these questions we still have to answer, and but if we get through them, then we'll pop in the next one. So make sure you get yours in like right now. This from Mike. Thinking about switching to a spindle from router. Does the air-cooled spindle blow chips all over like the router, or should you lean towards water-cooled to avoid this? So what is your unit? Do you have air-cooled?
So I have a water-cooled spindle, and then, of course, had gone from a Makita router. I've never personally used an air-cooled spindle, so I can't say if it's exactly like it, but there's definitely going to be air going through it because it's air-cooled. I will say that the first time that I cut something with a water-cooled spindle, I was just amazed. Of course, I didn't have the dust collection running, but to watch it cut, it was so quiet. And then to watch just the chips be where they were, it was weird. It was like something was wrong with my machine. So like I'm a big fan of water cooled, although running the water cooling on your system, it's an afternoon of jogging the machine around, making sure that nothing's going to get snagged. It's a lot. So like
once you get it set up, you're okay. But
once you get it set up, everything's good to go. If you are going to get water cooled, I would definitely look into something like the Quick Connect system. I've used it a ton of times and I'm a big fan of it. So like I've never used an air cooled spindle per se, but maybe I will in the future. We'll see if I can do like a video reviewing the different types. That'd be fun.
All right, Mike, pay attention to the comments because those who have air-cooled spindle, they can answer that question. Mm-hmm. I also have a water-cooled spindle. Julianne, throw the PWN link in. So PWN is the unit I have. It's basically a plug and play. Is yours PWN or to come with? Okay.
Mine is a PWN. Yeah.
Yeah, PWN. So I had Daniel on. I'm going to be bringing him back as well. Daniel is the guy that owns PWN. PWN makes spindle kits that are plug and play units. Basically, what that means is it's set up to plug into your machine controller. Doesn't mean that it's plug and play. You can just drop it in and go, because you still have to run your water lines and your power lines. You do still have to do some of that stuff. But for the technical end of it, it makes it very easy. So I am also a water cooled spindle guy, and I have to concur with Hamilton. They turn that on, and you can still talk, right? And here, the cut on a spindle is so much better than the Makita trim router or any of the trim routers. It's night and day. It has a different sound to it when it is cutting. So it still makes noise when it's cutting in the wood, but it's not as bad, and it's a different type of sound. And that's because the reason it cuts better is because the bearings are so much better in those things, and they're designed for the workload over a long haul. So yeah, there will be a link in the comments, and it'll also be put in the description of the video as well. So TP Hamilton, this is for you. What's your favorite CNC with me member? Hint.
I would never say this out loud in front of anybody. So just between the two of us, it's probably you. But don't tell anybody. No, I don't have favorites.
That's a good question. I like that when you put someone on the spot. That's very cool. All right, we got Mike. Any suggestions for 2-inch surfacing bit, Infinity water cooled spindle? That's for you.
Oh, so I use a 1-inch. I bought it off of Amazon for like $13. And I surface my spoil board like twice a year. So for me, it is not a big thing. I'm not really surfacing slabs. I'm not really doing a ton of that type of work. So it's really just for MDF and a spoil board. Actually surfaced mine today. If you want to head over to my Instagram, I literally just have a video of me surfacing it. And that's kind of, since I don't use them that often, I've never gone anything bigger. So it does take a little bit of time. My 4x4 spoil board, with a 0.8-inch step over running at 150 inches per minute today, it still took a good amount of time, like over 15 minutes. So if you want to save time and you're doing bigger pieces like wood and you're getting things flat, I definitely go for like a 2-inch, but I don't have any experience with those per se.
Yeah, I've done. So IDC Woodcraft carries 1 inch and 1.5 inch surface.
Nice.
I actually had those designed because I was getting tired of the way they was cutting, so they cut nice and smooth.
I bet they're a lot better than my Amazon one.
The 2.5 inch is one I use on the Phantom. So I can't really speak to a 2-inch unit surfacing bit either. I just know the bigger you get, you can do it, but the shallower you need to cut, and the spindle speed is going to be a big difference. Remember, with the surfacing bit, you got a really wide bit. It's still turning at RPM, but you got a really high velocity on the outside where that edge is cutting. Mm-hmm. So I can't speak to that though, as to whether it works or not. For Mike, what's a good source for having an STL file made from a bitmap, JPEG, etc.? Well, I actually have a. What's your thoughts on that one? I've got a resource, so I can share that one. But you got somebody?
What's a good source for having an STL file made from a bitmap? Honestly, I have done a few things in Carveco as far as like turning a file into an STL through like triangle mesh, and it works really, really well. But I don't exactly have a source for that. Yeah, sorry. Very little help on that.
I'm going to, Julianne, go into the business email. You'll see an email from Lanny. Okay, so we had Lanny on a few weeks ago, and he will create STL files for a fee. All right, they got high quality STL files. So that's actually she'll get the link, and throw that, and you can go check them out.
I think they're having a drinking game in the comments, but every time they've been saying drink, I've been trying to drink.
Yeah, the rule is whenever I ask Julianne to do something, you take a drink.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very hydrated. I've just been going along with it.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, I'm looking on the back end of our just the comments there where the questions are, and so I haven't nailed them yet. I got to say thank you to Kimberly Went. Cheers. Hey. Cheers, Kimberly. All right. Thank you. Yeah, the way that she's donated is down below in the IDC Woodcraft, just below where the thumbs up is, right? That you're going to press for having Hamilton on board. Is that being forward or what?
So forward.
That's so forward. Anyway, there's a little money sign. You can just contribute. You know, it supports spending the time out doing this kind of stuff. Don't forget to give IDC Woodcraft a review. We do this every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I'm here, and we do our best to bring in special guests like Hamilton each time. Hamilton is with CNC with me. He's got lots of files. So the specialty of your CNC with me is, I mean, your files are not complicated, complex. It takes 15 hours just to figure out the file. Right? You do lots of nice little simple things. He's got videos that walks you through the file design, and then you can get the file that he's going through. And he does have a ton of files. It was kind of cool going into that. All right. So anyway, we got there'll be a link in the comments, as like I say normally. Galaxy. I love some of these names. Galaxy Federation. What smells did you find to be the most popular? What smells? What smells?
So smells.
Well, what do you mean? Define what you mean by smells.
So I on my channel I focus a whole lot on smalls, and what smalls means is kind of like a small item that you could bag and carry out. So think of like if you're at a market and you see somebody selling something small, not huge rocking horses or tables or anything, cutting boards, something small. When I think of smalls that are popular, you have to think about not the item that you're selling, but the person who's going to be buying it. So if you're selling at a store that is primarily focused on, I don't know, decor and like women's wear, stuff like that, if you're able to provide something that appeals to those women that they're looking to buy for a significant other in their life, those are the smalls that I find to be the most popular. So most of the time, at least in my area, these small boutique stores are looking for gifts for men. And if you're somebody who is creating items that are geared towards, I don't know, manly or something like that, those are always going to be very popular in areas that women shop at, that I've found at least. If you look at just the data we have present and the demographics of people who are constantly shopping, those are the people that I have found are really good to create items for to sell to. So smalls, the things that are always going to be popular: kitchens, bathrooms, grilling, drinks. So if you make things for whiskey or for wine, or if you're making cutting boards or little things to hold soap, go into your kitchen, go into your bathroom, go into these areas in your house and just look around at the things that you have and think, what could I make that is similar to that? Obviously, you're going to have to get into different types of material and stuff if it's coming close to water, but there's a ton of stuff that's around you right now that you might think is too simple, but your ability as a small home manufacturer, you can customize things, and the customization is what is going to sell your product.
Yeah, even what I would call sub customization, right? Don't underestimate the word dad on a project.
No.
Right, for dad, or I love you, dad. Right, don't underestimate that in the scope of what he just said. No. I gotta just bring Jason up. He said drinking games on Wednesday nights. I'm in. So just if you need an excuse to have a beer, just tell your honey we gotta go to the show, and this is just what we do. Yeah, I want to. say thank you to Wi-Fi Dan. Good job, guys. I'll drink to that one too. I think I need another sip. I might have to ask Julianne to do something. All right, let's go to let's see. We did Galaxy, so Dennis, you understand that we both are going to be at Maker's Workshop show in July. Will any of it be on YouTube after it's over? So he's talking about the IWF, I believe. Is that the one in July, Julianne? The IWF? I'm going to bring her on board.
No, IWF's not till August, I think.
Is
Hold
that in Atlanta or is it in Vegas?
Yeah, IWF is in Atlanta. You guys got me pulling out my little planner here.
Wish I had one of those.
Does it? I might rent her to you for a day. She's so organized.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Let's see. Even the VECTRIC user group meetings in October. I'm not sure what's in July. I don't have anything.
I actually have heard of that. So look that up, Julianne, and then
Okay.
Then we'll find out about that.
Got it.
We'll get back to this one, Dennis.
I will not be at Maker's Workshop.
Yeah, I don't think I will either. Yeah, I don't think I will either, though. But I'm curious about it, though. Okay, Hamilton, we got another one for you. What is your favorite project you've done with your CNC?
Alex.
So I think my favorite project is probably the I made this hexagonal knife block that rotates, and we just put projects on CNC with me, but you just take down a piece of plywood and use your 60-degree V-bit to establish the seams, and then everything just folds together perfectly and glues up. It was a ton of fun to design that and go back and forth with Mitz on the file, and he did math, which the math works, and it was confusing and more than I thought we needed, but we needed it because it worked perfectly. That was probably like one of my most favorite things, that to have an idea and then it just to work. So yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess I could answer that too. I got a design, an Adirondack chair design from somebody. I bought it off of Etsy, and I had to modify the hell out of it. It was like, oh god, and the person just had the parts for cutout, but I wanted all the drill holes in all the right places. So I spent a ton of time getting those drill holes figured out and where they needed to be. That was fun because then you can just, it was nice. Same kind of thing, just screwed together when all is said and done.
Yeah.
But my other favorite project was the one I made for my girlfriend, Sarah. It was so simple. It's Sarah's garden. Had a little flower on it. Yeah, she's big into her flower garden.
Nice.
There's another one for you. So Hamilton, is your course set to use Carveco?
Kind of. So I'm a big believer in people knowing how to create their own toolpaths. So a lot of people find value in the Carveco and VECTRIC files, just saving their own G code, which is huge. And I get why people do that. But I will always tell people to be able to turn an SVG all the way to your CNC. So I do that in Carveco because that's what I've always done. But we've got different instructors, and those instructors use different software. So out here, STL Woodworking, he uses VECTRIC. So whenever he creates a project that's available in CNC with me, and there is a toolpath tutorial associated with it, he's using VECTRIC. There's a lot of things that are kind of like same practices where you might not be able to exactly follow the buttons because the buttons are going to be different from Carveco and VECTRIC, but the same principles apply. As click this vector, associate it with either a pocketing or clearance toolpath, and then set this as your depth. Short answer, yes, I use Carveco, and that's going to be the predominant thing that's on there. But the long answer is sometimes there's VECTRIC stuff too.
Right. All right, there we go. Do you use G-Sender or what? What is your controller?
So the controller on the Winfinity is Masso. So I've got the Elite series, and I do all of my work in Carveco. So I do the design work in Carveco, and then I create my G code in Carveco as well. So all that's, and then right on to the master controller.
Yeah, Onefinity is not a GRBL or Arduino based machine, so it's not going to run GSender anyway, or GSender won't be able to run it. GSender is designed for Arduino. All right, Edward is setting up Onefinity Elite 48x48, and after you put the screws to the base and set everything, but the cables you found out his diagonals are 1/4 inch off. Should he reset it?
So you should definitely try and square it up. That's for sure. If you have a QCW and it was done from Onefinity and you assembled that correctly, as far as like putting in all the bolts and then slowly going around and tightening those things up, just like you would on a wheel in a car, you don't just put on one lug nut and hammer that thing all the way and then try to do the others. After you've done that with your base and then you put on the machine, it should be dead on. So if you're 1/4 inch off, I would probably go back and look at the base, because the foundation of your machine is going to be where that's coming from. I highly doubt that the rails aren't fully set into the different parts. So I'd probably look at the base first. That would be my first thing to troubleshoot.
All right, it's good to have a Onefinity guy on board. I'm glad, because a lot of the people that follow, a lot of people have Onefinity. So
yeah,
it's nice to.
It's a big group out there.
Oh, I already took care of that one. So let's go right. Ripshon, did you ever do ductwork fittings with plasma on some of your machines?
I don't.
That's you might want to talk to Jack in the shop on that one. Julianne, is Jack in the shop on board? No, talk to Jack in the shop. He converted his long mill into a plasma cutter. He might be able to. Jack in the shop he was a lineman by trade. So guy doing the stuff there people are doing for your garage, only at the professional level, hanging power lines and stuff like that, and repairing power lines. And he would take saw blades like the hand saws, and he'll put that on his converted long mill plasma cutter, and he cuts out contours of linemen up on a phone pole or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so maybe Jack in the shop can answer that question for you. Vanguard, what would you guys say is the biggest hurdle when going furniture full time with your CNC Woodcraft business? Okay, well, to set the foundation for me, all right, when I first started, I created some product to sell, and I realized it wasn't where my passion was. My passion was helping people get started in this. I've got a lot of CNC machine experience, metalworking in my past. I was a machinist for about 20 years. Woodworking was a little bit different, right? It's every material has got its own little nature. So there was a lot of learning. The tool profiles and geometries were quite different. So I had to learn all that. But so when I went, I didn't really go full time on that. I went full time into the business. But I can tell you this, and I had a live I did a couple of weeks ago where I talked about business, and not just how to start a CNC business, but what it takes up here to make it get going. And because all business starts here, so the first hurdle is making the commitment to decide you're going to do it. You're going to dive in. You're going to jump off that high dive board, even though you can't see any water in the swimming pool, right? And commit to it. And that's the first thing. It's the decision and a commitment. And the biggest hurdle in that was trusting that the process is going to work. And the next hurdle for me was, they say in business, it's not how, but who, right? So it's not how can I do this, but who can show me what to do it, or who can I bring on board that has the skills to do it. Right. Usually when we're solo, we have to, we're wearing all the hats. But it's who can guide you, who can give you the guidance, because if you come out of the workforce and you want to go into business, the business is a very different mindset. It's a very different way of thinking. And most of us come in at a consumer standpoint, and we have to think more like business people. It's a different way of thinking. All right. So the other biggest hurdle is realizing that your business isn't about you. And also, I've said this a million times. Nobody gives a shit about you. They care about solving their own problem. And as a business person, we have to realize that we are solving problems for other people. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, right? Whether it's router bits or me and Hamilton creating videos and communities that help each other, or making a CNC project for somebody. Right, you're serving a purpose that somebody wants, an emotional purpose, right? So that's the cliff notes of the cliff notes version of the that I can give you. Hamilton, why don't you give your
So my 2 cents on that is understanding what you mean by CNC woodcraft business, and direction and expectation are the only 2 things that I would focus on in the very beginning. So where are you going and what are you expecting by going to that place? So a lot of people jump in with both feet thinking, okay, I've got to buy a CNC machine. I cannot tell you the amount of people that get in touch with me and they say, I bought the exact machine that you have. I bought the exact base that you have. I bought the exact spindle that you have. I have all of the bits that you have, and I'm making the files that you have. And I'm like, awesome. And they're like, now what do I do? And I'm like, okay, that's a great thing that you did all that, but people oftentimes have this expectation in their head of what success looks like, and being able to justify and value and understand what success is for you is really important. If you go on YouTube, you'll hear all these things about people and the massive success that they've seen, whether that's a lie or it's true, it doesn't matter. Your version of success is very important. So oftentimes I talk with people who are my own age, younger, older, people who are retired, and every single person has something different. There's a lot of people that just want to go out and meet people. So they just want to go to market so that they can get out of their house and talk with people, because that's what they value, is human interaction and connection. And there's other people who just want to put their head down, work 19 hours a day, crank out product to make as much money as possible, which Roll Tide, I'm into that. Do it. Awesome. Those 2 people are very different people. Mm-hmm. So to say the biggest hurdle, I would just say, is for most people, never taking the time to set their own expectation and direction for themselves and having achievable goals so that you feel it. Because if you start looking around at everybody else, you're going to feel bad all the time, and you're going to be working really hard and not feeling like you're going anywhere. But having direction and expectation really quells all that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's 2 things. One is, there's another term. If you try to sell to everybody, you're going to sell to no one, right? You want to find a niche. So whatever you make in CNC, you want to niche in, and ideally you start with what you're passionate about. Make things around that, because you understand what people like. The other one is what I really like what Hamilton just said, and I'm going to just re-say it my way. Is expectations. A lot of people will jump in thinking this business thing is going to take off. It looks like easy. I can make all this and sell it, and it just doesn't work automatically. It's like the machine is not going to cut that amazing 3D project when you turn it on the first time. It takes, as many of us find out, there's a lot of skill that we have to learn. A lot of new things we have to learn. We have to understand the machine, the design software, how the router bits are going to do different materials, and so we have to start off with that. There's lots of little hurdles, but if you're going to go full time, also just understand, if you're going full time, you're going to have a nose to the grindstone, especially if you don't have a lot of I'm not sure how to say this. It depends on your financial position. If you can afford to do that, just go for it, right? it can be a challenge. It can be a fun challenge,
Mhm.
right? For some, others it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And full-time business, here's the biggest thing I'm going to tell you: when you run your own business, you are responsible for the results. There's no one else you can point your fingers to. All right, Jeff. He was asking what equipment should you buy for a newbie, like track saw, clamps, etc.
So there's this really affordable brand that not a lot of people know about. I believe it's pronounced Festool. It's like just the brand to get. That was a big joke. I would go to Harbor Freight. I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight. I know that they don't sell a track saw, but as far as like clamps and stuff, they are actually like really on par with a ton of people. If you haven't been to Harbor Freight recently, their production quality is wonderful. As far as track saw goes, I've had a Festool TS75 for a very long time. I'm a big fan of it, purely because of the depth of cut, because I needed it for tabletop making. If you're just breaking down plywood goods and stuff, there's like the Craig jig little thing that you can just slap an old circular saw into and let it rip. But also DeWalt makes a pretty good one. But I've heard that if you're in that like DeWalt, Bosch, Makita area, I've heard the Makita is actually pretty good. If you really need the depth though to be able to get through like 8/4 material, the TS75 is a go-to for me. But it's not cheap.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at them here on Amazon. I'm going to show the screen just so I can, because I don't have a track saw, so I can't really answer that anyway. Share screen, Amazon. I don't know where we are. There we are. All right. So track saw. There's the Festool, $700. What's the unit that you have?
I wish so I've got the TS75. The TS55 just doesn't cut as deep. It doesn't have as big of a depth of cut. So the TS75 over there, the $975 one, that's unfortunately the one that I own. Unfortunately, just because of the price, but it's worth it. I'm a big fan on spending the money on the tool that's going to do the job. Not a big fan of tools that do like 17 jobs. I want one tool to do one job really well.
Uh-huh.
So if you're a hobbyist versus somebody who's using their shop to generate income for their family, that's just two different conversations, right? So if you're just getting into it, I would say buy the most reliable, cheapest equipment possible so that you understand what its shortcomings are and why the more expensive thing is better. And Harbor Freight's great. I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight.
I'm gonna throw that one in, the link to that one that we just looked at. So yeah, Harbor Freight is a good place to start. It all depends on how you're tooled up, and it's one of those things, you buy your tools as you go. Really don't assume that you just need something. One of the things I have seen when people buy is sometimes they don't. I've done it. Don't think about the use that we're going to get out of it, especially if we're using it for revenue generation, right? It's buy the equipment as you need it. But I want a track saw. I definitely should get a track saw. Now you got me wanting one of those things. Doggone it.
It's great. They're super worth it, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Just take a minute. And so we got Hamilton from CNC with me. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Everything that we have discussed and more is linked below in the description of this video. And it's time to drink, because Julian's going to put his YouTube channel in the links in the comment. And check out his CNC with me community, right? So we're getting, what I like about the videos you do, the projects, they're all relatively easy projects and not complex projects, and they're nice little projects. So that's one of the things I think that really is my favorite part about your specific community and what you're giving to people.
Yep.
It enables people to learn in multiple different ways, in easy ways.
Yes, we really want to give people a foundation of confidence, so that I get it. I've got a kid. I understand that if I wasn't full-time in my shop, how very little shop time I would have and how precious that is. And I really want somebody to be able to join the community, watch me build it on YouTube, and know that if they've got an hour of free time, they can go up, crank up their CNC machine, and have a finished product at the end of that hour.
Right.
So I really want to keep things simple. I want to keep things light, and I want to keep things in a way that somebody can be engaged in the process and know that they can create it. So every single one of our projects just uses 3 bits. We never change. All of our feeds and speeds are live on CNC with me, so you can download those. I've tried to consolidate everything where if you have a CNC machine, it might not be the fastest way that you can cut it out, but you can cut it out darn reliably without crashing stuff, and you can follow along. We really want people to get confidence from our community.
Right. Also, yeah, make sure to drop by IDC Woodcraft, for router bits. Right? CNC router bit company. I will be releasing a special here in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a public release, right? Just a Stars and Stripes type of thing, special. So that's not for the insiders. It's going to be general, right? But we are going to be releasing a new product very shortly. So we get kind of a flash release for the CNC insiders. That's the email list for IDC Woodcraft, and so be watching for that. If you're not on the CNC insiders list, you can sign up. That'll be linked in the description. When you get the setup checklist, that'll automatically put you on the CNC insiders list. If you don't want to be on the list, just hit unsubscribe after you download your checklist. All right. So, okay. What else? Google reviews. All right. My goal is to get 500 reviews. Here's why I ask for Google reviews. And give me a review if you feel that what I do is helpful, bringing people like Hamilton on board, and the customer service, the quality of the product, the videos put out. Because Google, the more 5-star reviews we have, the more Google ranks the website. All right. And so you can be a part of doing that. And just in case, if you didn't know, we contribute to St. Jude on a regular basis. So last 2 years, we've contributed $52,000.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's so cool to be able to give back. All right. We got, Timber Falls, Garrett and Hamilton. Do you guys use third-party editors for your video production?
So tell me to stop when you want me to stop, but I wish. So just Monday, I have been since January having this awesome guy come out, and he shoots and edits. So like a big thing for me is like, you can film all day and then give it to a stranger, and then that stranger has to understand and figure out what you want. Yeah. So an editor is supposed to create less work for yourself. So for me, I'm sitting over here being like, why would I do that? Creating more work for myself, teaching somebody how to create the video. And maybe that's months of training before you get to a place where you can throw in footage and they give you back something that you want. So I hired somebody locally. They came out. We've been going back and forth for so long, and he's such a great guy, so awesome. But my life without power in the shop has been difficult for the last 2 months. So I wish that I had a third-party editor. It's not a cheap game to play, but maybe one day it'll pay off. I don't think that I'll ever fully step away from editing videos because I just enjoy it. But at some point, you got to pick and choose what you're willing to do. So yeah, I could talk about this for the next 3 hours, but I'll be quiet.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was beautifully said. As you grow, the bandwidth becomes tighter and tighter. And so we do have to start to pick and choose our battles. That's why, I've gone out and looked for team members like Julianne and Liberty and the other people that you don't know about. All right. But when it comes down to editing, I did all my editing up until I still do some of my editing. But we did bring a guy. His name is Adam. He's another team member. And so he does the majority of the editing now. But like you said, to understand what we want to say and how we want the video to feel, and for them to be able to interpret what we want to put out there, it does take training. We have to take a person's mindset and we have to get our head into their head. And so that does take a lot of work. I totally appreciate what you just shared.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, I mean, we're getting there. But it's taken quite a bit.
I'll go ahead and answer. So Mark had did a follow-up question on that, so we won't pull it up later. But he said, "How do you find your cameraman editor?" For me, it was not a chance meeting, but for anybody else, I would say, here's the ticket. You find the biggest mega church around you, and you get in touch with their production team. And there's going to be somebody on there that helps with production that also wants to do video editing and shooting. And you set your rate at the very beginning, establish that, and go from there. So that's going to be the easiest way to find somebody who's local and who's available. They're already establishing their availability by saying that they're either working for or donating time to a church. And you're going to be able to find somebody who's much more reliable in that way than finding somebody on Fiverr or throwing up some type of a gig. So that would be my 2 cents on it.
All right. Okay. I got your friend out here, Greg, which I figured he'd be here. Greg was on with us as a special guest, a month and a half ago.
Heck yeah.
Yep. So, Greg is a member of your community too. He's actually one of the, I guess he does a lot of management in the background there.
Yes. So one of our community instructors and making videos, making projects, putting them up there. And he's one of the very few people who is doing their toolpath and tutorials in VECTRIC. So his project specifically, he'll be showing those off in VECTRIC. So I even learned a little bit of VECTRIC on my way there too. Maybe one day I'll buy VECTRIC. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry, Carvco, if you're watching.
Yeah. All right. That's okay. By the way, Julianne, it's time to drink. Go find Greg's channel and link that there. Greg is another content creator. He's out there. He's very skilled. He's got his the epoxy. He's really good at the epoxy.
Yep.
So go subscribe to his channel too. I mean, there's so many good brothers and sisters out there.
Isn't that such the cool thing about YouTube, like the community and like the ability to meet people and just connection? It's so hard to leave your shop and join somebody else and do stuff, but the internet has allowed us to all connect to each other, which is awesome.
It really does. Okay. I saw a statement in there. Do you do one-on-ones?
I used to. I do not anymore. And that's purely just an availability thing. Maybe one day if I can really figure out my schedule, then I'll make that available again. But I quietly did one-on-ones a lot last year. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I opened up the community is because I found myself in the same conversation over and over and over again. And I really wanted to streamline that process by creating a community where those people could get very helpful answers from other people who might be able to answer them better than me because, I love Onefinity and I'm great with a Onefinity machine, but there's so many other machines out there. So thankfully, like we were just talking about connection, all these people, there's so many different people that can answer things better than me that I right now currently am not doing one-on-one training.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I used to do one-on-ones too. And from our perspective, and I just heard it in what you said. When we're building bigger things, we realized in one-on-ones that it's usually the same problem over and over and over again, same questions, and so we try to work to create content around that. But
Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
I think we did.
Oh, no.
I think we did. But I'm still here.
It is raining somewhat hard. There he is.
Yeah, I'm sitting there talking and my screen went blank. Yeah. What was I saying?
Same conversations over and over and over again.
One-on-one. And it takes up a lot of time.
It does.
Especially when you're running a business and you're wearing lots of hats. It takes a lot of time. What I am thinking of doing, I've been tossing this around, and my team doesn't know it yet, but is to set up something where I can bring people in and do training as a group. One is not practical from our end. As much as we want to do it, it's not practical.
Yeah, and it's so awesome that we have so many people that want to get in touch with us and want to spend that time. YouTube bridges a big gap, right? Because like there's this relationship that's formed. You're sitting in your own house watching us, maybe on your phone or laptop or TV, and there's a connection that's made. And there's a whole lot of feeling of relatability and ability to reach out. And for every person that thinks that, there's a lot of other people that think that as well. And it can honestly be overwhelming. There was a point in my life where I just didn't respond to anybody ever because of the pure amount of people. Even on my Instagram, in an off day, I'll get a dozen messages. And
you got it easy, brother.
I know, right? And it's hard because you want to be available to people, but also if I'm available to every person who gets in touch with me, I'm not available to my daughter, and I'll choose my family every single time. So like it's the people who do make themselves available for one-on-one trainings, they've scheduled that into their lives and they've made sure that that's a priority, and that's super cool. But right now, I'm just this season in life, I'm unable to do that.
All right. I am working on getting people on board to do that. So if you are, if anyone who's watching knows their software good enough that they feel that they can train, all right, then you can get a hold of me at Garrett at idcwoodcraft.com to say you're interested in that. And we're not at the point where we're actually going to do it, but I am. It won't take too long to get that set up. So, yeah, you're interested in spending a little time helping a brother out, and you can do that. All right, let's from Misty Woods, another cool name. Look at that, Tradecraft. I've not seen that before. Most people doing Woodcraft or Woodworks or something like that. I mean, heck, look what I did, Woodcraft. Why would you want to quick disconnect water lines to your spindle?
Oh, so many reasons. So for me, I specifically, I move my machines a lot for trade shows and stuff, and just around the shop, and then showing off different spindles and routers and stuff like that. And the quick connect is really great for me. Also, the second that you're putting liquid around your machine, it's really, really great to be able to quickly stop that flow. Or if you have any type of an issue at all, just being able to like pop them off. So I believe that they're like less than $50. I don't know. So I'm probably wrong about that.
Yeah, when you order the spindle from PWN, you have the option to get the quick connects. I forget what they call them, but
Cool connectors.
Cool connectors. That's right. I got them. When you disconnect, it's almost not even a drop off that, because that's how fast that thing seals when you disconnect it. So yeah, if you get the PWN spindle upgrade, then make sure that you get the cool connectors. It's time to drink. Julian, put PWN spindle link in there again. PWN is yeah. Well, I got to swear by those things anyway. But a spindle over the trim router.
It's a big upgrade, that's for sure.
It is a major upgrade. It's not. You can feel the pinch in the wallet, but it's certainly worth it.
Yes, definitely.
All right, Doug. Will there be a coupon code tonight to use to join CNC with me? We did have a coupon code, didn't we? I didn't bring. We talked about that, and then I forgot about that. All right, yeah. All right, so that was a good question. I completely forgot about that. IDC Woodcraft. There it is.
Hey, look at that. Wow, that was fast.
So for those of you who've already signed up tonight, I'll talk to Hamilton. We'll figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot me an email.
Yeah. Sorry, Hamilton. Anyway, where are we at? So 9:43. We still got some time. We can bring in some more questions, Julianne. Bring her in. She'll pop them in. Anyway, so how old's your daughter?
Oh, she's 2 years old. She's just a bundle of joy. She's now learning how to stomp her feet, which is pretty cool. Saying no, no, no. So we're working through all that. But honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better little kiddo.
All right, and so what did Mama think about you going at this full time?
So I actually get that conversation a lot. A lot of people out there were in my situation when they started, and uh, I have a very, very, very supporting and loving wife. So thankfully, she has a career that she loves and is very driven for. So she did take hold of the financial burden of the household for a while, and still does. We're a dual income family. So like when I said, hey, I want to start doing this, I know that YouTube's going to be a branch of this, but I want to do woodworking. She is a big supporter because we're very much like life's happening right now. So be happy. As long as you're meeting your goals and checking the boxes that need to be checked, be happy. So she's extremely supportive, but I also came from a very low budget. I worked for for that rehab, which was a nonprofit, so I was not getting paid a ton. So like my standard of living was very low. So a lot of people, when they're going into woodworking, they're like, I need to replace a salary of 6 figures, and I'm like, well, you might need to put in some long hours at night in order to start your business, because like if you just stop your job and quit and then buy a table saw, that ain't happening. So a lot of people have that different experience. And for us, it was very natural because I'd been working for quite a while and had seen a lot of the different aspects. So I was very, very grateful to have such a supportive family.
Yeah. Does the wife, does she ever do any of your video? Does she, hold the camera for you?
No. I've got a big separation on work and family. Every once in a while, like we'll joke about her being in a video or whatever, but the shop exists to generate income, whether that's creating woodworking projects or creating videos. It's very much just, I don't know. She's at work, I'm at work, and when we're not at work, we're with family.
Okay, all right. Yeah, for those of you, I completely forgot about the discount code. So for those of you who signed up, we'll take care of it. Ben has donated another $50. Ben, brother,
Killing it.
it is killing it. Thank you, man. It leaves me speechless when they do that. Thank
It's
you.
all
Ben.
this drinking game.
It is the drinking game. Maybe every time somebody donates, we should drink too.
I just had water. I'm just going to be super hydrated.
Okay, all right. We got to Julie answer some more questions in there. Is a water cooled spindle quieter than an air cooled spindle?
Yes.
The air cooled spindle is quieter than the Makita, but it's still pushing a lot of air, so it still makes noise, but it's not silent.
It's quieter in its operation. The bit cutting, it's not quieter. So like once the bit interacts with the material, it's going to sound the same. And normally when you're cutting things, you should be running dust collection. So for a lot of people, it negates the fact that the router's quiet in the first place. For content creators, it's really important because if you've got a water-cooled spindle and you're not running your dust collection because you're looking to film the bit cutting, it's a really big difference in like quality of comfort in the shop, honestly. But for most people, it's not going to be a huge difference. I think if you've got the budget and you want to do water cooled, do water cooled.
Yeah. It's so nice when it's around, but I'll reiterate, your router bits are going to sound very different when they're cutting with that spindle. Your cuts are going to be so much cleaner. So much cleaner. Kevin Hamilton, you did a video. Let's see. Are you?
So we did a group discussion and Workbench Con with Leighton. Leighton works for Carveco. So Hamilton, or did you? So okay, that's two answers. So we did a group discussion at Workbench Con that Carveco filmed. I'm not sure if that's out or if it will be out. And then last year at Workbench Con, we were in the shop and we had like an hour-long, fireside chat conversation with them. And I loved it. It was really, really great. It's really hard to produce that. So we decided to try and produce some different stuff this year. And Carveco has all the footage for that. And I would assume eventually that will go live. But I don't think any of those conversations are live. But whenever they do go live, they'll be on their channel. And I'll, promote that on CNC with me and let people know when it is live. Probably as well as my YouTube channel too. Just the community tab. I'll probably pop that up there.
All right. There you I need to get Carfield guys on board too to do one of these things.
They're incredible. They're in London, so you might have a little bit of time discrepancy. But I was just talking with Leighton this morning.
All right. I've been wanting to get a VECTRIC on board too, so I'll do that during IWF.
Nice.
Okay, Rick. Do you prototype in cheap material before final?
I don't. I'm haphazard with my material.
There was one project I did do prototype, but that was because it was so intense. It was a pretty, not pretty, it was hyper detailed 3D carve, and it was very large. So I didn't want it to get screwed up on a large piece of material that was expensive. That took 9 hours to carve, running that taper ball nose at 250 inches per minute.
Wow.
That's how much it was doing that. All right, we got another TP. You ran there. I truly appreciate both of you guys. Thanks for all you do in the CNC community. That's a warm. That makes my heart warm up. Thank you, man.
Love it.
Yeah, totally. Mark, how long do router bits last in carbon fibers? Say 6 millimeter.
Never done it.
So the router bits, your standard upcut, downcut bits, don't do it. You're going to wear them out in no time flat. Carbon fiber is very abrasive. There's a bit called the corn cob bit that is designed for that kind of stuff. And you all have seen it, not knowing what the hell it's for. But that's what it's for. It's for things like phenolic and carbon. Let me bring a picture of the corn cob bit, just so you know.
Thank you. I was about to Google it right now. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I've never done any carbon fiber work. I always associate it with water jet work. So that sounds very cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do a video. The title of the video is going to be WTF is this bit. Right, and I'm going to explain what it is. So images, come on, computer. Oh, that's not coming up, right? CNC. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, gotta go back to there. Share screen. Cancel. Share screen. And that is. There we go. That's a corn cob bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, these are for composite materials, and carbon fiber is considered a composite. And they're designed because materials like carbon fiber are so abusive to router bits. I got a bit. IDC Woodcraft doesn't carry that right now. I've got one from another brand, and I'm going to experiment with it. I'm going to make the video and play with it. And maybe I'll have it. You know, sometimes people use it for PCB boards, printed circuit boards.
Interesting.
But it doesn't leave a pretty cut. Yeah. Before we knock off for the night, we got a couple more questions in about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Again, I just want to remind everybody, Hamilton, you want to make sure you sign up to his YouTube channel, subscribe to his YouTube channel. All right, it's that will be linked in the description of this video. Also, check out his community, CNC with me. Right, he's got new projects every week. You got over 700 members. The one thing that I want to say about communities is people respect what they pay for, right? So that'll, one of the things you say inside that, troll free. Mm-hmm. Trolls don't pay for quality.
Nope. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like I just remember being brand new and trying to ask questions on forums because, you know, that's pretty much where you get questions answered is forums. And you could find somebody who's the nicest person in the world. You could find the Mitzes of the world who will take time out of their day and answer your questions. And then you run into other people who just treat you like, oh, you don't know what G code is. And then they just jump down your throat and you're like, well, I guess I shouldn't be here.
Right.
It's such a mysterious hobby. So in order to feel comfortable, communities, there's tons of them out there. CNC with me is not the only one, but it's certainly the one that I love the most. And we're big fans of being troll free. We want people to ask the stupid questions. Bring them to us. Because other people, if one person asks, there's 10 other people who are afraid to ask that are going to gain information from them.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So check that out. Julianne, we'll put a link for that. And there is a discount code, IDC Woodcraft, all capitals, one word. For those who did sign up during this, we will handle it after the show and figure out how to take care of that.
Figure out something.
Yeah. And subscribe to this channel. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. The CNC project setup checklist, right? This is something that'll use every time when you set your projects up. So you don't forget to set your XYZ 0. You don't forget to clean the collet. That's all in there. You make sure your material's the right size. You measure the thickness of your material. You've checked it against the design. It's got all that stuff on there. So that will be linked as well. Julianne will put that in the comments. This is free to you. It will sign you up to the IDC Woodcraft email list, right? Which they all do, right? So it'll be the CNC insiders. So you can always unsubscribe if you don't want to be on it. And but we are releasing a new product here very shortly. And those who are CNC insiders email list will get a discount. We just released the calipers a little while ago. Everybody got a 15% discount, and 700 of them. Almost like that.
Awesome.
So, that's because they get the discount.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take advantage of it. All right, we got Colin. Does anyone have experience selling large projects that require assembly and a unique design like a dining room table? Well, you've made tables before.
Yes, not on the CNC machine. I try and stay away from stuff that requires assembly because I believe in just smooth process from designing to manufacturing to selling to customer satisfaction. So I personally haven't done that. A ton of people do and have really great success with it. So I try and stay away from joinery that is customer dependent. But there's a lot of people who make incredible CNC joinery that definitely do things like that for dining room tables.
Yeah. I don't have any experience with doing that, selling stuff that's assembly required. Stacy, I'm currently learning some modeling for guitar bodies. Does IDC have roughing and finish bits? Below those bits, 1/4 inch diameter, yes. So I will bring those up once I open it up in the screen. And so we're going to go to roughing, and you're going to see the website undergoing construction, by the way. We are slowly getting all the images redone.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but it's good. So we have a whole slew of roughing bits. If you go to idcwoodcraft.com and you go in the search bar and you type in roughing, you're going to come to all our, why did that come up like that? All right, well, that's all right. You go down to, there you go. The little icon says roughing, and you'll come to the roughing bits. So we've got quite a few roughing bits. We've got a 1/8 roughing bit. Now we got this beast here. That's a 1 inch flute length, and that I've run that up to 1,000 inches per minute on maple at 1 inch deep, 80% step over. And then we have the hog, which is a deeper cutting roughing bit. And so that goes to 1.5 inches, and it can cut up to 1.25 inches, 1.75 inches, I'm sorry. And then we also, for guitar bodies, deeper projects, there is the, I think you can type it in up there, guitar. Did I spell it right? Yeah, there's a set And we have the taper ball nose as well. So you can type in the taper ball nose. Type in, go to sets. Just got to remember. I'm gonna, where is it? It's the next. There it is. You got the 3D carving set there. It's got a roughing bit and it's got the 2 taper ball nose. So you can get that as you can get that. So hope that answers the question. I had something else I wanted to share on that end, but don't remember. All right, so I think that handles everyone. What else we got there? I passed the guitar maker set 4 times, so Mark said. And Mark, that's what I do. I overlook things all the time. Hey, there's Kyle. Kyle's on board too.
Classic Kyle, coming in the last minute.
Yeah, yeah. So Kyle will be on next week. So bring your VECTRIC question. And what else we got? How do you want to wrap this up? Make sure you check the description of this video. And we got a Steve. Steve just donated another $10 super sticker. Thank you, Steve.
Nice, very cool.
Thank you for supporting. Again, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Hamilton's channel. Check out CNC with me, his community. And Julianne put the banner up there for the discount. We will talk about this discount code afterwards.
I will figure something out. I appreciate y'all having me on. This has been a blast. Super cool that you have so many people popping in, asking questions, and showing up here and answer them and getting different people on. I just appreciate y'all having me on. It's been a great experience. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to bring Julianne back. She's been hanging out in the background, making sure everything's under control and making sure all the links get put in there, giving us opportunity to have a drink.
No, I'm almost out of liquid in my glass.
Yeah.
My bottle was gone halfway through.
Before hers was like apple juice. I don't believe it. I think it was white wine.
I'm not telling. There's like literally there's that much left.
Look, see, it looks like it's wine.
That's not wine.
For YouTube purposes, not mine.
Right. All right. Well, brothers and sisters, it's been a pleasure. Hamilton, it's been a pleasure to have you on. It's been a pleasure to talk to your community and get our communities talking more and more. I mean, that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, this is really about it's about creativity. It's about finding passion and purpose in our creativity, and it's also about being part of a community, something where those two mesh together, and then leaving a legacy. Right, those 3 things is what it's all about. For me, at least.
Oh, this has been awesome. Seriously, it's been great.
Yeah. All right. We're going to check out. Remember, next week, Kyle's going to be here at 8 o'clock Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, and we will talk about VECTRIC. Hasta la vista.
Bye.